Stating that the faithful of the Church of San Antonio have prayed for him constantly, Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra asked local congregations to pray for the soul of Pope Francis, who died today at the age of 88. The first Latin American pontiff suffered from chronic lung disease and was hospitalized in February for an illness that led to double pneumonia. Born in Argentina as Jorge Mario Bergoglio, he was elected Pope in 2013. Thousands of spectators lined downtown San Antonio streets for a local Good Friday tradition that goes back 42 years. Ahead of Easter Sunday, the Passion Play, which reenacts the trial, march, and crucifixion of Jesus Christ, played by an actor who carried a 50-pound cross, started this morning at Travis Park and ended at Main Plaza in front of San Fernando Cathedral. More than 1,000 people converged on downtown San Antonio to protest what they view as the Trump administration's anti-democratic policies. The rally, promoted as a day of action and resistance, was one of hundreds planned for Saturday by the 50501 movement, which focuses on fighting the president's agenda. It was a second such local gathering this month. Bullies with badges, that's a label the Balcony Heights mayor is using for a measure on the May 3rd ballot. Johnny Rodriguez wants to strip his town's police union of its collective bargaining rights. While Rodriguez is a harsh critic of the city's 18-person police force, saying it needs to be reformed, he maintains it's a matter of fiscal importance. Fair Oaks Ranch is in the process of constructing an elevated water storage tank. In the works since 2008 and spurred by the purchase of land from Bernie earlier this month, it will mark the city's first water tower at a cost of nearly $9 million.
The Spurs are back, and so is Victor Wembanyama, and so is Devin Vassell. A very, very good evening as we welcome you into Spurs Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The Silver and Black return from a 3-game road trip. They wrapped with that win in Golden State. So after losses in Houston and Sacramento, why to bounce back against the Warriors? So what do you say? Let's do it again. And like Saturday, Golden State going to be without Steph Curry. The future Hall of Famer going to miss tonight's ball game. He rolled his ankle in a loss to Chicago on Thursday. MRI coming out clean, but the Warriors taking these couple of days as a precautionary note, seeing how that ankle responds. For the Spurs, two big differences from Saturday as they look to make it 2 for 2 against the Warriors and a home and home. Victor Wembanyama back after missing consecutive contests for the first time.
Let's continue our coverage of the Spurs winning the draft lottery. Victor Wembanyama, the consensus prize. You've heard it a million times. You're going to hear it a million more times. And here's Spurs GM Brian Wright. It's because of more than what you see. Is Coach Jeff Traylor right? And do our guys agree? Let's bring in three of everyone's favorites, Richard Oliver, Don Harris, and Chuck Mikatinik. It is the 8th weekend of the high school football season. Can you believe it? It just goes by like that right when the season starts. And we're starting it off on a Friday night here on the KCWX Game of the Week because it is rivalry weekend. Tomorrow, Brennan and Stevens. Tonight, Antonian and Central Catholic, in a game that at one time was one of the better kept secrets in terms of rivalries in all of Greater San Antonio. No longer a kept secret. Everyone knows that for a second straight year right here on KCWX TV, we're bringing it to you live and proud to do so this time from Bob Betson Stadium just north of downtown. We welcome you inside the booth.
Because of their rich history, deserve, you got to earn it. Yeah. But it's been too long for a Dallas Cowboys team not to have even played in an NFC championship game. So it's a big drought, and hopefully this will be the year that gets changed.
I would say they're off to a pretty good offseason so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of Pop, the 5-year contract surprised you a little bit?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Before we had the number 1 pick, I thought he was going to retire, and come drink some wine with me in my vineyard, But then we got the number 1 pick, so now I'm not surprised that he wanted to stay and go through the process with Victor.
With the only man fast enough to escape that explosion from Bane that blew up Gotham Stadium, at least the field. And a man so versatile that he's a Super Bowl MVP and a Dancing with the Stars champion. And now he's the coach of XFL San Antonio, Hines Ward.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Nice to meet you there. Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here.
You wear a lot of hats. 10 years later, and he looks exactly the same. How'd you do it, Coach?
I don't look the same, man. I don't look the same. I saw a picture of me from the last deal. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was not, no. Anyhow.
We appreciate the time, Coach.
All right, brother.
All right, we'll see you soon. Since it opened in 2016, the Star had never seen the introduction of a new head coach until today.
It is great to be here, and I'm having a moment here because I don't know where the hell to put my hands. I never sat at a table for a press conference, so excuse me.
Is that Mike McCarthy or Ricky Bobby? I'm not sure what to do with my hands right now. We've got multiple reporters from the Metroplex for what is fair to call a historic day in Cowboys history. The Cowboys introduction of McCarthy is going to dominate these next 30 minutes, but we're also going to talk Spurs. They tip in half an hour from now. Speaking of the Spurs, did you catch what Kobe had to say about how the Spurs affected his legacy? Some great stuff there. And the UTSA football schedule for next season is already out. Going to show you those dates. But you know where we're starting. In Frisco, the Cowboys present Mike McCarthy as their 9th head football coach in franchise history, the 8th since Jerry Jones bought the team in 1989. More on that later in the show. By now, you know McCarthy's backstory. 13 seasons in Green Bay, won a Super Bowl with the Pack on the Cowboys' home field, 6 divisional titles, winning percentage of 62%, 10-8 in the playoffs, having taken the Packers there in 9 of those 13 seasons.
You look at the great coaches, and I know what it takes.
As mentioned, we have multiple reporters in Frisco, and so we've got multiple reports from the Star. Joe Jonick begins our team coverage for a deeper dive into our continuing coverage from the Cowboys' first outside the organization head coach hire since 2007.
Frisco for Sports Tonight. I'm Nate White.
Nate, Joe, thank you. I'm going to guess that McCarthy is going to call the plays, but Nate and Joe, don't go too far. We're going to check in with you guys in just a little bit. Again, the start of a new era now officially underway, but for how long will this era last? If it seems like I'm getting ahead of myself, I am, but apologies. I think it's a great fan poll question. How many seasons will the 56-year-old Mike McCarthy serve as Dallas's head coach? 3 or less? Between 4 and 6? Between 7 and 10 seasons? Or more than 10, which would eclipse Jason Garrett and make him the second longest tenured head coach in franchise history. To vote, you know the drill. Head to our website, sportstonight.com/fan poll. Now, as for the fan poll that just came off our website, also related to a Cowboys head coach, the most recent one. It started with the Giants and the Panthers as options. We've had to whittle it down over the last couple of days. So, Browns or none? Your answer? 85% of you saying none. Wow. A little bit of a hurt there for Jason Garrett. Still not done with our Cowboys coverage, but Spurs right now. They're taking on the Celtics like 30 minutes from now. It's the start of a 4-game road trip that I have. The Spurs visit defending champion Raptors on Sunday, though a different looking Raptors team for obvious reasons. Then they head to Miami for a game a week from tonight. Got the Grizzlies before those 2 ball games coming up on Friday. And it all starts in half an hour in Boston against the Celtics squad that's got the second best record in the East. Now, the Spurs coming off a big win against the best team in the East. In fact, Milwaukee still got the best record in the league at 32-6. The 126-104 Spurs rout, a far cry from the last time they met Boston, which was a 135-115 loss back on November 9th.
I think that was, by the time playoffs come, have a good season.
Well, as soon as this show's over, you can flip over and see if the Spurs can get a second straight win against one of the East's elite. Highlights tonight on Sports Tonight and Sports Tonight, the late night edition at 10 and 10:30. And how about this? UTSA's football schedule for next season out today. They open with what could be the defending national champion on September 5th. Of course, LSU playing Clemson for all the marbles on Monday night. Texas State is who UTSA gets the next week. First home game comes on September 19th when they host Grambling. Memphis is in here later that month on the 26th before conference play starts at UAB in early October. Then it's followed by Old Dominion, La Tech, Florida Atlantic, Rice, UTEP, Southern Miss, North Texas. In that order is then what awaits Jeff Traylor on his first year as head coach. All start times are still TBA. On the way right after the break, we're taking you right back out to the Star, continuing coverage from such a big day for the Dallas Cowboys.